Are you guys paying attention to what's going on in Maui right now? Seems to me that there's a whole lot of evidence right now surfacing that seems to indicate that somebody is covering something up. All the way down to the narrative that the power company and down power lines are responsible for the fires. It just comes out that they've known for over 3 weeks that the energy company killed the power to that area 6 hours before the storm hit. We have people underreporting the casualties. You have police blocking the exits, so people have nowhere to go but either back into the fire or out into the ocean. You have a 12-mile media ban in areas where you're not allowed to fly a drone. Seems to be a whole lot of stuff surfacing right now here and there on YouTube that may end up getting taken down sooner or later. I've been compiling it. I'm going to share it for you in a little bit. But what I pulled together seems to indicate that they were hit with a directional energy weapon. I know it sounds like a conspiracy, so I'm not going to rattle on about it for too much longer. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and roll the clip or clips. And at the end, you watch it all the way to the end and then go ahead and share your thoughts in the comments section below.
It's really bad out here. It's really bad. People are finding whole families in cars that are just charcoaled and fried. My best friend Michelle, her brother's family, just in the car. They find the car and they find mom and dad in the front seat and the 3 kids in the back. The other bad thing is that school was out that day that the fire raged through Lahaina. So parents were at work and all the kids were at home. So there's massive amounts of children who perished.
You understand, Hawaii Electric, Hawaii Power announced today that they cut power to the lines 6 hours. Their stock is on a freaking tear. The reason the stock was on a tear is that they think the liabilities are going away. They cut the power in Maui 6 hours before the fire. This Maui thing, I'm telling you, there's something not right. There's something not right. For 3 weeks, and here's the thing. They knew, and authorities knew they cut the power 3 weeks ago. So why are we just hearing it today?
And I want you to notice the burn, the amount of grass, as you can see, that burned and the char marks. This car is basically completely surrounded by gravel, and you can see a small little flames right here when this grass burned. Yet when you turn and look right in this direction, besides seeing Dylan, my technical cameraman, you can see this car. And for all you scientists out there that have been sending me images and you're asking me if they're real, I'm here to tell you, in Jesus' name, what we're showing you is real, live on YouTube. So if you enjoy content like this, we ask you to please immediately like this, share this, and subscribe to the channel. Why? Because you are our only hope of getting this out to the world through the YouTube algorithm. This is a tire that is gone. These are the braids of steel inside the tire. Look at this particular rim. Is it safe to say these are aluminum?
Look at the windshield. What's that?
Are these aluminum?
Yeah, that's cast aluminum wheels.
Cast aluminum wheel, you can see it melted.
And the windshield on the inside?
Look at the windshield. That is a windshield right there that is completely melted. We have some jumper cables in the back of the vehicle. We have some cast aluminum here that's pulverized.
Just dust.
How is that possible for a grass fire that did not come from this direction? Because you can see there's nothing that's been burned over here. What could cause that type of destruction when you have a grass fire on this side that obviously didn't connect? But even if it was a grass fire,
and it's still only half burned. I mean,
yeah, you can see there's even some grass over here that's still standing. It's not even been burned. So even down below, directly below this, you can see some wood fence posts that were burned, but you can see all that grass is still good. So how do you get this car this hot? In the comments section, I need to hear from you guys. Honestly, I need
Yeah.
you here in the comments section. There's some smart people, and I'm not talking about, I'm talking about some intelligent people out there that understand physics, science, melting points, not the nonsense people. We need to just silence the nonsense for a moment. We need some real scientists, some real professors around the world to check in right now and help us understand what phenomenon, right?
Yeah, it's an anomaly or whatever you want to call that word.
Right, but this is just one vehicle. This is what we're seeing in all.
Oh, there's the window down there in the middle.
Where's the window?
Down in the
Oh, you
crack.
can see the melted window down in the crack.
It just dripped down in there.
It's just dripped into the, you can see that. I don't know if the camera's picking that up for you. But I've had people reach out to me from around the world asking for these types of images, detailed images. And by the way, thankful that the sheriffs have left. We asked them if I've said, hey, if you guys love your country, allow us to come in here and grab these images. And they've left, and I'm so thankful. And I told the sheriff, said, hey, I'm thankful for you guys because you're sworn to protect the Constitution. You've got more power than anybody in the...
And thank God they left the area.
Thank God they left the area. Yeah, and we're so thankful that they did. They had these stern looks on their faces, man, because we're just like, what law
Let me pull
prevents
up
us from having access? Why can the media not have access to this? Why is there a fence? Why are there checkpoints? This is melted copper.
Yeah,
These are the jumper
so
cables.
what people are familiar with seeing, this is how hot it got. This literally destroyed metal, and I mean the spring had no integrity at all. It was just no resistance.
You can see this. What do you think this is? Is this the tranny?
Wow.
What is that?
The aluminum?
Yeah.
I don't know. They maybe it had an aluminum gas tank.
But look at all this. Came all the way out here.
Yeah, that's not just heating and melting. That's liquifying, which is
Liquifying. That's a whole nother
that's
level.
probably like 1,500 to 2,000 degrees.
Now, in this clip, before we watch it, okay, I want to point out that this man, he lived in this restricted zone. He was allowed access, and he's walking you through a few anomalies, as he describes it. Note that this fire, his garbage can that he shows you in a quick clip, suddenly erupted into flames, sitting there in a driveway. In front of a fence, and just on the other side of it, a tree standing, still green. He talks about how it just erupted into flames, almost like a lightning strike. And before some of you that are still convinced that it may be down power lines, know that in this area, all the power lines are underground.
If you watched my video where I talked about our escape from the fire, you saw a clip of a raging fire. It was right here. It was our neighbor's trash can and fence that ignited on fire. And that was our cue to get out of here. That's why we left when we did. And who knows, if we would have, spent another 10-15 minutes trying to gather our belongings, it might have been too late. And you can see that it's actually just the fence and the garbage can that burnt. Also hit the air conditioning unit there, but the house itself did not start on fire. So this is our neighbor's house. This is my house right here. The other neighbors are just fine as well. And here's another, I guess you'd call it an anomaly, is our garage door keypad. This has a cover on it, or it used to have a cover on it. And that's what the cover looks like right now. So completely charred. Looks like it was burning pretty heavily, but around it, the entire building around it looks like it's untouched. Okay, so this is also interesting. A couple cars here that were completely burned up right next to one of the townhomes, and you can see the melted metal. So that was a really, really hot fire for sure. These cars are completely burnt up. Makes sense because it's it's right next to a building. I'm sure that fire was really hot. But then you do have a car here that was also next to that same building that did not fully ignite. It's just kind of melted in the front. And here's another one completely burnt up. And here's a car, of course, completely burnt up. You can see it melted the glass. And like I was showing you before, it has, I don't know, I think that's, I'm not sure what kind of metal that is, maybe an aluminum that melts a little bit easier than the steel. But right next to it, it looks like you can see there's some sort of explosion potentially right next to this car. So the damage here is from the explosion and the fire right next to it. Otherwise, basically untouched.
Hey, aloha guys, Eric West here, HawaiiRealEstate.org, coming to you live from Lahaina Luna neighborhood, Maui, Hawaii. Citizens impromptu reporter, wasn't planning on doing this, but this is what we're doing, and I'm thankful to have a Starlink from David Crawford, and we're here reporting on what I believe is potentially a smoking gun of sorts. We just don't know what it is, but I'm going to show you the scenario of this car and what's surrounding it and how temperatures could reach this level, creating this amount of melting of aluminum. I'm here with Donovan. He is I believe a hero of sorts. Aloha, Donovan. Because he was the one that brought it to my attention that we have these very strange occurrences. We just shot down on the highway. I don't know if it was actually live, but we have it all recorded, so we're going to post it. We're at another one of these locations. So this is well above the burn zone, essentially, in a neighborhood known as Lahaina Luna. I'm going to show you around real quick so you can see the scenario and then judge for yourself. And again, if you enjoy content like this, I encourage you to please like the channel, subscribe, and share the video so you can get the truth of what's going on here at Maui. So where I'm at right now, just to orientate you, you can see the lights for the football stadium right there at Lahaina Luna. So we're right below Lahaina Luna High School in the neighborhood that did not, I repeat, did not burn. You can see all these houses are standing around here, unburned. There's no burn here, okay? So to me, this is like something out of a space movie, because you have this small field with some grass that burned, right? You can see where the grass burned. But then you have these two vehicles sitting in here that have melted aluminum. So Donovan, if you want to just take us through this car real quick and show us, I know you know a few things about cars, you can point out some things that require a very high temperature. By the way, we just talked to the neighbor who was talking to an investigator in Lahaina town yesterday, and he said the investigator told him the temperatures reached in excess of 3,000 degrees. So tell us what you got, Donovan.
Well, we have about 300 degrees for aluminum, and this
300?
1300.
1300, okay, thank you.
1300, well 1220, but if you round it up, because it was not only melted, it was liquefied to the point where it became a river of aluminum going down the dirt hill.
So this is the aluminum rim, obviously. There's the tire, what's left of it, the steel threads or steel belts.
And maybe combination gas tank if the gas tank's aluminum.
Okay, okay. So you have liquefied aluminum running down the side of a grass fire.
The caliper melted, unless they stole it, but it looks like the bolts are still there. So that, and then you get the belt, the steel belt of the tire, which is just a bunch of a wire mesh laying there, and you have the windows that were melted, the back window. If you look at the big old, like almost like
the glass is just melted.
Yeah, it was
dripping.
This is almost what you would see if you put a car in an incinerator.
But this is not surrounded by a bunch of structure fires or anything.
Yeah, there's no fuel.
So besides the gas that was in the tank, what's your theory on what could create temperatures of this level in the middle of a field?
Anomaly, I think is the word.
So this is the second anomaly that
yeah, it's just, that's why I stopped. I looked at it, I'm like, okay, house. Nothing's burned, and then you have melted steel and glass.
What seems suspicious to me about that clip is how, if you notice, the grass up to the sidewalk just behind the vehicle is perfectly green and and undamaged in any way. How can a vehicle be reduced to such rubble when nothing around it seems to be? There's no trail of fire leading to the vehicle that showed that something led to it and then set it on fire. These seem to be like targeted strikes. In the next clip, I have a longtime resident describing police blockades and how, in their words, under orders, they were blocking the roads to keep people from leaving. Now, as he continued walking, he talks about how he heard explosions followed by screams. And I would think, if I had less information, that it would be transformers blowing, but we've already established that the power was cut 6 hours before the storm actually hit. And I gotta kind of wonder, why are there police vehicles patrolling those areas that have their plates removed from the vehicles? They're refusing to identify themselves and give out their badge number. Something is not right. Also, following that, the comment about the explosion, I found a short clip. I can't find the full version, otherwise I'd share it. But it's a man describing fire bombs hitting the ground, explosions, sucking the air, the oxygen out of the air, people struggling to breathe, and then reports of napalm-like injuries.
Can you tell your story, man? You got time? Are you feeling all right? Or
Yeah.
I know it's middle of the day and it's hot.
Yeah. Well, I went to Safeway late because the wind was blowing, so I knew I wouldn't be able to leave that night. And electricity was off. It took me about an hour and a half to just get some orange juice. And so it was about 4 o'clock, and I went out and I saw the fire, and you couldn't even see the gateway because it was covered with smoke. And everyone's standing around just looking. And I said, I think we should get out of here because of the speed of this wind. It could be here in 2 minutes. So I went around back to Front Street, and all the cars were lined up, but none of them were moving. And I walked all the way from Safeway to the chart house. Not one car had moved. And I was wondering what was stopping the traffic. Well, it was a policeman. And I got to the end and I looked up north. There were no obstructions. There was no reason to keep those cars there.
Are you serious?
I'm serious as a heart attack. And I said, what are you doing? He goes, well, I'm under orders to keep them here. And I said, the fire is right around Safeway. It's going to hit Front Street. These people got to get out of here. And he said, I'm following orders.
No way.
And so I just kept walking. Well, maybe he knows something I don't, so. And I keep walking down the highway, and I look behind, no cars are coming out. I walked all the way to Waikuli Beach, still no cars coming out. And I started hearing boom, boom, boom. And then I heard people screaming and stuff.
You're saying they were blockaded in by the police at the end of Front Street?
Yeah.
Like where that restaurant is?
Right, where the chart house
Where the chart house was, I should
Right.
say. There was a blockade there and they could not go any further.
Right. From Safeway to there, not one car had moved. And people walking in front of me, the people in the cars are saying, would you like a ride? And they're going, oh, okay. And they'd get in. They asked me, I go, no, you better get out of here. But they just, well, we were told to evacuate by car. Okay. So I just kept walking, and I got all the way to, like I said, the Civic Center. And then I started hearing all the explosions, and there was no one walking behind me or on bicycles or anything. And I just...
Dude, that is unbelievable.
Fire bombs were so big they were sucking oxygen out of the air. People didn't have oxygen to breathe. I think this is an absolutely top-level national disaster. We've never seen anything like it.
A very disturbing article came out from Daily Mail with the headline, Maui fire victims have napalm-like injuries similar to those seen in World War II or Vietnam, as cadaver dogs are brought in to search for 1,000 missing after worst national disaster to hit Hawaii in 60 years. We're going to read through this together, but for those who don't know, we're going to find out what exactly is napalm. According to the Oxford Dictionary, executives, napalm is a highly flammable substance which consists of an amalgamation of a gelling substance with inflammable petrochemicals such as petrol or diesel and is formulated to adhere to surfaces. During World War II and the Vietnam War, napalm was used in flamethrowers, bombs, and tanks. It is formulated to burn at a specific rate, usually ranging between 1470 to 2190 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so back to the article, which says the victims and survivors of Maui's wildfires have been left with napalm-like injuries, the likes of which haven't been seen since the Vietnam War, according to rescue teams now tasked with combing through the incinerated rubble of Lahaina. Michael Havoc Thomas, a military veteran who owns and operates HAVOC, a private rescue and training company in Hawaii, gave a harrowing description of the reality of the devastation. The news will not be able to show you the real survivors or the real victims. It's very World War II flamethrowers and Vietnam napalm-like. That is not an exaggeration. Hawaii boasts what the state describes as the largest integrated outdoor all-hazard public safety warning system in the world, with about 400 sirens positioned across the island chain to alert people to various natural disasters and other threats. But many survivors said they didn't hear any sirens or receive a warning that gave them enough time to prepare and only realize they were in danger when they saw flames or heard explosions nearby. We now need to take a look at who's behind Hawaiian Electric. Taking a look at the top shareholders, and once again we see Vanguard, Blackrock, and State Street. What are the odds that Blackrock is not only behind the electric company, but is also behind the second largest holder of land on Maui and behind the largest land grab in history that is currently taking place? Oh, and also, what are the odds that Blackrock owned banks on Maui? They were all miraculously spared from the fires. So Blackrock failed to update the power lines and trim back trees, even though there is a specific page dedicated entirely to tree trimming safety on Hawaiian Electric's very own website. Brian Deese, a former Blackrock investment executive, serves on the National Economic Council. The former chief of staff to Blackrock's chief executive is also a top official at the Treasury Department. Previously sitting as the global chief investment strategist at Blackrock, Michael Pyle is now the chief economic advisor to Vice President Kamala Harris. All three also worked with the Obama administration. Former Blackrock executive Eric Van Nostrand joined the U.S. Treasury Department as well.
So the reason why I circled back to the banks and BlackRock is because in case you guys didn't realize, there's been a plan for Maui to become the site of a smart city. Hitachi is behind it. Back in November, was it some part of 2021, the Biden administration gave them over $1 trillion, 1.2 trillion, I believe was the number. I'll throw a screen capture up there for you. Just Google Hitachi and Biden, and you'll see that he's already funded the beginning of this smart city that they had plans as far as 8 years ago to start building in Maui. And the reason why I bring up BlackRock once again is because they seem to be behind every major natural disaster as far as these train derailments and everything. It's all a sham. Hitachi also has controlling shareholders from BlackRock and Vanguard. But what do you do when you have this grand plan to build this city, which they say in this commercial I'll play towards the end of the video, that they could have ready by 2030. You guys familiar with that number? That seems to be when the Great Reset is slated to jump off, right? And I'm starting to think that it's just going to happen. I mean, there's so many things going on at once, and we're so divided amongst each other, we can't see straight. That's why I put together a video like this. I encourage you guys to go to a YouTube channel called Hustle Bitch. Yes, you heard it right. And one called Maui Real Estate. These guys, that's who I have to credit this video and all the pieces of it that I put together for you guys. I mean, I had to go over a lot of it. I mean, there's so many suspicious things going on there. I mean, how do you clear the slate and begin such a project when you have all those pesky native borns that's been living there for generations that don't want to go anywhere or sell their property. You wait for a natural disaster and you attack them undercover, which I believe is what happened. And if you don't think the government would do something like that, just go ahead and take a look at what just happened in Florida when they're talking about that coast that was going to get hit. Go out and fill up your cars and your generators, and then they contaminate the unleaded with diesel, and now these people are stranded. They're in the dark, man. I mean, these guys, it's all staged, man. And Biden and Blackrock and all these guys are behind it. You need to wake up. Everything you're seeing on the news right now is a lie. It's a distraction. Don't believe anything. What you should do is what I do. I go on YouTube and I look for those boots on the ground, what do you call it? Like pedestrian, regular guys with their cell phones going, you know what I mean? Look at the full version of those clips that you see on the news that are framed with a narrative that makes them inaccurate when you look at what you're seeing versus what they're telling you you're seeing. These people were attacked. These were targeted strikes, and it's going to get worse over the next couple of years. So, wish I had better news for you, but man, when I saw this, I had to share it. So, until the next video, guys, keep your head on a swivel, stay out of trouble. Ignore what the talking heads on the state-controlled TV is telling you. Everything is a lie, man. Everything's a lie. And check out this commercial I found. We'll holler at you later.
With the right pair of shades on a bright summer day, you don't have to squint to see the world around you. And to see the future take shape, you just need to know where to look. In Hawaii, that future is already being developed. With sophisticated IT and engineering, Hitachi is participating in the Jump Smart Maui project to transform the island's infrastructure. Sustainable infrastructure, both social and industrial, begins with power. By leveraging wind and solar energy, we've started to reduce CO2 emissions and are helping Hawaii work toward its goal of obtaining 40% of its electric power generation from renewable energy sources by 2030. Using Hitachi's smart grid technology, we can supply and distribute energy and resources to an entire island. But you don't have to be on the beaches of Maui to catch a glimpse of just how truly bright the future is, so we can all enjoy sunny summer days for generations to come.